guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Tintle and I am the owner and designer behind the Creative Siren. Now I'm really excited to have you guys back this week as I have a delicious tutorial in store for you. This week we're going to be going over how to make a sculpted donut mug tumbler. I really love these guys. They're really simple. They're one of my more favorite ones to make, and just like with the gnome tumbler, you can dress them up for any occasion. I mean, like, who doesn't like donuts year round, right? I know I do. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Okay, like always, we're just going to go over everything that you're going to need for this tutorial, starting with the colors of clay that you're going to want your donut. Think about the embellishments that you're going to want, so you'll have this nice coffee brown for the base of the donut. We're doing white for the frosting, and then I have pink and purple for the frosting details that I'll later put on. I always use final sand to prep my cups and sand them in the beginning. I'll put a link to that in the description below. An acrylic roller, a craft hobby knife, an extruder that we're going to use today to help with those embellishments. Again, I will link that in the description below. I'll be using this extruder piece. It's included with your kit and easy to find. I'll also be using these cute iridescent glitter hearts from this glitter carousel from Recollections. I will link that in the description below so that you have that for the embellishments on your donut. And then your favorite glitter, I have this really pretty, it's like a hot Barbie pink and it's iridescent, so I totally love it. A matte white acrylic paint, and then liquid Sculpey to help bind all of those pieces together. And finally, we can't forget a 14-ounce stainless steel coffee mug. I get mine from the Steel Magnolia, and they're perfect size for these donut mugs. So for the sake of this video, I have already pre-sanded my cup. That way the clay and the paint later have something to bind to. I've also taped the tops and the bottoms of my cup. It's just a personal preference, and you certainly don't have to if you want to. So we're going to start off with our coffee colored clay, and we're just going to roll it out into like a really fatty snake and press it onto the very top part of your handle. As you're pressing it into the handle, you're going to want to flatten out the top a little bit and then round out the edges to give the donut, you know, a very natural donut look. And then go ahead and cut off any excess that you may have. Now we're just going to do the same thing for that bottom part of the handle. Firmly press it in, flatten out the bottom, cut off any excess, and round out those edges. And smoothing in the two sides of the clay so that it creates one continuous piece. When you're done attaching your clay to the handle, we're going to go ahead and bake it at this point. Be sure to follow the instructions on the back of your packaging for whatever clay that you're using. This is just going to make it easier for us to decorate the donut later. After the donut has finished baking, we are going to start making the icing that's going to go on top of the donut. So for here, I'm just grabbing the white clay that I have on hand and I'm rolling it out into like as big of a piece that I can get it so that I can wrap it around the top part of the donut. Make sure that you match those ends up. It just makes it easier so you don't have to cut off too much excess on the top. But make sure those ends are covered and then fold that flap of clay over the end. And then this is where it's beneficial to have that donut baked already, because we're going to cut out, using our hobby knife, the frosting around the top, or the extra clay that's going to be the frosting. And I always like to do it in like a wavy pattern and then push down the edges so that we round them out and gives it a natural flowier look. And do the same for the inside of the donut. Again, don't forget to round out those edges. Now that we've formed the frosting over the top of the donut, we're going to use this liquid Sculpey to attach that frosting. So go ahead and very gently peel back that white piece of clay or whatever color that you're using. Make sure you don't break it or rip it, and we're just going to pour a little bit of this liquid clay right on the top. And that way when it bakes in the oven, they all bake together as one cohesive piece. Now very gently pick up your clay frosting and put it right back on top, firmly pressing down onto it. That way the liquid clay adheres to both sides. Now if you're like me, sometimes I leave fingerprints or my nail prints in the clay, so it's really beneficial at this point before baking that you just take a little tiny bit of rubbing alcohol, put it on your finger, and just rub out those finger impressions, those nail impressions, and so you have a nice, smooth, and sleek piece of clay over the top of your donut. And once you're done smoothing out all of those bumps and fingerprints, go ahead and let the alcohol dry off the top of your clay and then pop it in the oven for a second time. Once your cup is done baking for the second time, we're going to go ahead and move forward using our extruder tool and our two other colors of clay. Go ahead and grab your extruder tool and unscrew the lid, as well as unwinding the bottom as far as you need it to go. Roll out your first color of clay into a, fatty little snake. Put your extruder disc tool in the top and then just screw it in until the clay comes out at the very top. It's like one of those old like Play-Doh tools that we've used 100 times while we were kids. And you're gonna do this to both colors. And once you get it to the desired length, just cut it off. You don't need to do, all the clay that you have in there. At this point, we're going to go ahead and grab our liquid clay one more time and pour a little bit over the top, similar to the way we did it once before when we were adding the other piece. And I just take a paintbrush and I just spread it evenly all across the top. So it's just like one thin layer. And then grab your little pieces of clay that you just pushed out through your extruder tool, and you're going to lay them on the top. It's going to look like you've drizzled frosting over the top of your donut. So just do this in any shape, fashion that you desire, just so it looks like a nice cool drizzle with both colors. And at this point, I like to press down over the top so they kind of indent into each other a little bit, because frosting isn't going to lay like straight across the top, and that way it looks like it's just like flowing over the top. Once you're done adding your drizzled icing over the top of your donut, go ahead and pop it into the oven and bake it one more time. Now that your cup is finished baking for the third time, we're going to go ahead and start glittering the main part of the cup. Now at this point is when I like to paint the base of my cup using my acrylic matte paint. You can also spray paint, but I would be really careful doing it. Spray paint and polymer clay do not react well. So if you get any spray paint on your donut, it's gonna get sticky and kind of gross. So just to be safe, I just like to use acrylic paint. Go ahead and give your cup about 2 to 3 coats of paint to give it a good solid background color. Once your cup is fully painted and dry, this is where we're going to start glittering. So grab your favorite glitter, and I like to use the Mod Podge method because I feel like I have better control over where the glitter is going to be. So I just like to, I'll just paint brush my Mod Podge on. But if you want to use the epoxy method, you're free to do so as well, whatever you're more comfortable with. Now, depending on the glitter that you have, you'll want to add anywhere between 1 to 2 layers of glitter. I like to add 2 to make sure that I have equal and full coverage on the main part of my cup. Once you're done glittering your cup, go ahead and grab a soft bristled brush and just brush off any excess glitter that you've gotten on top of your donut. Okay, here we're going to use those really adorable heart-shaped pieces of glitter that Recollections has in this cute little carousel. I just like pour some out because it's really easy to do, and I'll grab like a ball tool that I have just because it's easier for me to pick up those pieces of glitter. I'll dab the ball tool into my Mod Podge and then pick up those pieces of glitter and place those sporadically all over my donut so that they look more like sprinkles. Once your Mod Podge is all dry, we're going to go in and add 1 to 2 layers of epoxy so that we have a smooth surface to add our decal. Try to do thinner layers of epoxy, that way you don't take away from the texture of your 3D mug. And I always hit mine with a heat gun real quick just to remove any of those pesky micro bubbles that show up. Once your tumbler is completely cured, you'll want to sand it real quick with a fine grit sandpaper just to remove any pesky bumps, and that way it doesn't show through when you add your decal. Now this decal that I'm doing can be found in our Facebook community group. After this video is posted, that will be posted in the group for free for anybody who wants it. And if you're wondering about the towel, I like to use just a clean kitchen towel to help prop my mug up because the mug tends to be a little off balance with the sculpting on the handle. And as a tip, when you start doing the icing decal pieces here, you'll want to do kind of 1 letter at a time. I don't know why, but every single time that I cut this out, it never lines up correctly and the icing just sits lopsided. So it's just easier if you go 1 letter at a time to make sure the icing on this font just sits nicely and centered on each letter. Once you're done adding your decal, go ahead and cover your cup with 1 to 2 more thin layers of epoxy just to seal that decal really well, but not to add too much bulkiness to the handle of your mug. And again, hit it one more time with your heat gun just to get rid of any micro bubbles that may show up. And there you have it. Now you have this adorable donut mug that you can dress up for any occasion, and it'll just make you hungry looking at it. If you loved this video, be sure to click here to see our last video. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another tutorial. See you later. Bye!